Hey there YouTube, I'm Bubbins, and a few weeks ago I talked about all of those Final Fantasy XIV daily activities you should be doing as much as possible. I had plans to follow it up with a video talking about weeklies, so honestly it was really good to see a whole bunch of you in the comments also recommending various activities that people should be doing. And I actually agree with you on a good number of them. That said, there are 7 that I found myself wishing I had the discipline to do consistently. There's a whole bunch that I'll pick up, start doing, and just forget to finish by the end of the week. By no means are any of these required, but each offers something really valuable, whether that's XP, guild income, or MGP. So yeah, let's dive in. Let me start by saying the real Wondrous Tails doesn't unlock until you reach the current level cap. Prior to that, Chloe's journals really only include duties at level 60 and below, which kind of scale based on, when you hit 70, 80, that kind of stuff. But you can still get some rewards, they just won't be as good. It's also important to note that every journal is good for 2 weeks, meaning you must complete it within that window or it just expires. That's a good amount of time to do this. However, new journals are available every Tuesday on the weekly reset, so this is actually a weekly activity. Don't just go and finish it and assume you're good for 2 weeks. Every Tuesday, there's a new one available. What I want to stress here, in regards to this feature more than anything, is that you shouldn't be afraid of these activities. When I first started out, I thought extremes were too tough, so instead I was grinding the dungeons using my retry points. And that can be a mind-numbing, time-consuming process, when in reality you can complete Wondrous Tails in just a day or two. While this isn't the most optimal way to do it, I think the best way to complete your Wondrous Tails is to do the following. So first of all, assuming you have 9 out of 9 second chance points, do as many of the easy extremes as you can, meaning Howling Eye, Naval, Bowl of Embers, Thorn March, Striking Tree, and Shiva. You can do these uncapped, so hopefully you have a high enough character where you can just solo them and easily defeat them. Once you do all of the ones that you rolled to begin with, pick one to retry using your second chance points. Keep doing this until you have 7 out of 9 seals chosen. At that point, if there is time before the reset, you may want to set it aside while you earn second chance points again, which happens naturally when doing duty roulettes. When you have as many as you're going to get or are back to max at 9 out of 9, go to the link in the description for a Wondrous Tails solver. Input your seal pattern and choose your strategy. I personally use potential lines, as that one prioritizes getting at least 1 line, while also weighing your chances of getting 2 or 3 lines, which would obviously be ideal. The other options prioritize just getting anything, or only 2 or only 3, and discard the other opportunities. I personally think one that takes everything into account is best. So depending on what it tells you, it may tell you to reroll or to keep it. If it tells you to keep it, go ahead and complete it. If it tells you that shuffling is better, do that and then re-input your seals and repeat until it tells you to stop shuffling. One of the things it will do is as your points get lower and lower, your second chance points, it'll stop recommending you shuffle just because you don't have a lot of points left. Whenever it does that, I'm not the type of person to sit there and go regrind just so I can make it 100% optimal. I usually just call it quits and then earn my last 2 seals to turn it in. Now the question is, why do you do this? So there are some really good rewards, especially for like 2 or more lines, but it's also about 50% of an XP bar for whatever class you want. For example, I constantly do my journals as Dragoon, then go to Chloe, switch over to Scholar, and claim the XP for that class. It's a super easy way to get some levels without too much effort, without too much grindiness, and it's available every single week. Now the next thing I'm going to recommend comes with a caveat. So even if you aren't super into the endless grind for slightly better gear, like me, do I really need that plus 10 item level if I'm not really doing endgame content? No. But you should try to get to your weekly cap for the newest Tomestones, if only for monetary gain, at least in general. Currently, Allegan Tomestones of Causality are only used to purchase Lunar Envoy gear. Thankfully, Allegan Tomestones of Astronomy have since been uncapped and can now be grinded at will. These can be traded to Sahanti at Radzahan for materials which sell for about 5,000 gil each on my server. Now, that number has obviously decreased a ton over time. At its peak, when astronomy tomestones were the rarest, each material was worth 10 to 15k each. And even when they were subject to the 450 weekly cap, that was still 300k a week. Now it's not so impressive, maybe about half of that, but still the opportunity is there. And if you're already level 90, it's a good way of getting your alt classes some of the better gear available without spending a ton of time or a ton of money on the latest crafted set. So while it's not necessarily the newest tomestone right now, when it is, it's absolutely worth doing for the money alone. Aside from containing some really awesome stories and personalities, custom deliveries are a super useful source of white and eventually purple scripts. They're also a super good source of XP for your crafters and gatherers and can help power level those with just a little bit of effort each week. The good news, at least for the crafting classes, and this is something I take advantage of a ton, is that you can make all of the materials that you need as a level 90 armorer, for example, and then turn them in on the class you want to level up. It's important to note that each of the custom delivery vendors does have a level requirement, however, so you need to be smart and think ahead and plan for that. For example, one might require level 56, and if you're 55, you won't be able to turn them in. You'll have to go to the next vendor down, assuming there is a vendor below that. Either way, you can then take those white scripts and use them to make money by purchasing valuable materials from the exchange. Especially around new patches where a lot of that material is needed, you can earn a pretty penny. You can of course use those white scripts to buy mastery books and a whole bunch of other stuff. They're a very, very good way of earning that money. This is essentially the passive way of earning white scripts. Like, do this at a minimum and then spend it as you get it. That way you don't actually have to just sit there and craft stuff to turn in and grind. I've got one more money-making opportunity, which is Doman Enclave. So if you haven't leveled up your Doman Enclave, you really aren't missing a whole lot. If you haven't heard of it, in short, it's just a way to double the value of 20,000 gil worth of items into 40,000 gil, and that's it. But the thing is, it takes at least 14 weeks to level all the way up. You start off with a really low cap of like 1,000 gil, which slowly scales to 20,000. It's super useful for things like Allegan, gold, bronze, etc. pieces that are really only good for selling. And there's a little bit of story there if you're into that. Honestly, it's not huge, but it did feel good to get out of the way. Now we shift on over to the gold saucer. Much like the mini Cactpot, which I talked about in the previous video, there's no losing with the jumbo Cactpot. You will always earn more MGP than you spend on buying tickets. Each one costs you 100, 150, then 200, and you'll always get at least 1,000 MGP per ticket back for a total of 3,000 per week. And obviously you have a chance at earning 6,000, 58,000, 233,000, or a million MGP depending on how many numbers you get correct. While there's only a 1 in 10,000 chance of winning the lottery, don't let that deter you. If you want the mounts and items that are only available via MGP, you'll need many, many millions of the currency. And this is a very good way of getting some and having a chance at getting very lucky. Also, don't be like me and forget to turn in your tickets after the drawing on Saturday night, but before the next drawing. There's so many times where I just miss the drawing and then the next week comes by and I have tickets that just expire. They just go poof, and you've actually wasted the MGP you spent and the potential winnings. While Cactpot is flashy and has a chance of really raking in the MGP, Bastion Report is essentially old reliable. Every Friday, Kyoko Star on Twitter posts the correct answer to that week's report, telling you exactly how to get the bare minimum 80 points, or 100 if you need that to unlock the vendor. But you should be doing this each week because it rewards a total of 60,000 MGP, which is easily the quickest income for the amount of time spent. And the good news is that most weeks, the clothing requirements aren't super expensive. Most of the time I spend under 5,000 gil to get the optimal amount of points. Do note that if you have a free company, with the unlocked buffs or MGP increasing buffs, like the Gold Saucer VIP card from Squadrons, make sure to use them. They apply to activities like this. Since they last for a few hours, I usually wait until Saturday night, activate one of those, then go to the Gold Saucer to do my mini Cactpot, Jumbo Cactpot, and Fashion Report, all with the buff. 15% across all of those does add up. My final recommendation is one that is only for dedicated players. As someone who was once intimidated by Eureka and everything it entails, you can massively speed up the progress by just making an effort to do the weekly challenges. They grant a ton of experience and are honestly the fastest way to level up, especially if you aren't in a rush and can just do these each week. I personally went in there just grinding enemies thinking that was the best way, not even knowing that there were challenges. But they're there, you just have to look for them. Do them each week and you'll get there. The grind to max level in Eureka is really long, but a one-time thing. So do these each week if you're interested and minimize that painful ad grinding. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to leave a like or subscribe. I super appreciate all of the support. And it's been really reassuring to hear all of your very good comments. If you want to directly support the channel, there's a Patreon linked in the description below, which is live, it's running. Our first monthly post on the state of the channel is coming at the end of the month. So if you want that, subscribe at the $5 level. I'm just going to talk about the channel and why my videos are a little longer, stuff like that. But completely optional, just letting you all know that it exists and it's there. For now, I think that's it. I'll see you next time.